What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Now yesterday's trade also ended up being a loss, or at least the call that I made ended up being a loss. And it's pretty rare that I have gone through a 2 losing streak in the last like 5 months that I've been tracking these calls. So yeah, officially this puts us down to 82 wins out of the last 99 videos that I've made. Although that is still a pretty good rate, and ultimately fundamentally nothing has changed with the system. The same system is what has gotten us to 82 wins in the first place. A couple of losses, perfectly fine. But just to give you guys a little reflection on what probably went wrong yesterday, like the condition that I gave you guys was A, if you get a 1 hourly candle close above this level right here, then you want to look for longs, right? But then yesterday's daily bias was pointing up, but the 1 hourly was pointing down. So that was just time frame misalignment in general. I also mentioned that yesterday that I would ideally be looking to trade on a day where the conditions are a bit more clear. And it seems like today could be one of those days. But essentially, I was just kind of forcing a trade in a day where I should have otherwise just, chilled. And the second thing that potentially went wrong is, if you remember yesterday, we did the talk about this fair value gap right here. I was expecting that to get filled actually yesterday, but somehow price stopped just short of that level. Now, the better move would have been to exercise just extreme caution because there is time frame misalignment. And most importantly, potentially wait for this fair value gap to get filled, which, I also did mention yesterday. Once this fair value gap is filled, then you can start heading towards the upside. It wouldn't be too late to wait for the next day before taking this trade. But that's the reflection over. It is a loss. It is what it is. Today, we're going to try to, break this 2 losing streak. And yeah, let's get into it. So starting off on the weekly chart, you are still incredibly bullish. You are still heading towards this target at the moment. Now, sure, you may go through a retracement period. We do not yet know this though, because in order for at least the weekly chart to confirm some kind of retracement period, you would need to go back to $100,000. Now, even on the daily chart, at the very least, $106,000, because once this happens, this is a change in state of delivery. This is a break in market structure, whatever you want to call it. Until that happens, you are still very much bullish and you should still be looking for longs. Now, the only problem with this is that yesterday, the daily candle closed bearish, which means the daily bias for today should be bearish. Now, the only problem with that is the fact that yesterday's candle closed bearish, which also means that today's daily bias should be bearish, which means this should be the target for today. However, once you go into the 1 hourly chart, you will start seeing a slightly different picture. And one of the reasons actually why I have delayed making this video as late as I could possibly get is because, well, let's just put it this way. For the majority of London, nothing has been happening outside of the fact that you have broken up above Asia and most of the trading volume is happening above the Asia high. This is a good sign for a potential ABC, session profile today, where A is your accumulation, right? Asia accumulation, London breaks out, holds above the Asia high, and then New York, like before New York, you may retrace a little bit, and then you continue to the upside, which means also that today is another day where we're getting a bit of time frame misalignment here, because if you guys remember, the daily chart is pointing towards the downside. The 1 hourly chart at the moment is like witness. This is now known as a change in state of delivery, which means the 1 hourly is now bullish. So right now, 1 hourly is bullish, daily is bearish, which is exactly the reason that caused us to lose a trade yesterday. This does not mean that today is just straight up a no trading day. The reason why I mention this is to take into account what kind of environment we are trading in. So the fact that we have time frame misalignment means that, compared to a day where you have time frame alignment, this is a lower probability day. And this means that if we do take trades, we want to be 1, a bit more cautious. 2, we may want to take our profits a bit sooner. 3, we may want to go half risk, just taking into account the environment. Now, if everything else within the system still matches up, I am still going to take the trade, but I want to keep this environment in mind. Big mistake people tend to make is they do not ever consider the environment. And so potentially in like ranging conditions, they'll set targets that are really far away and, price goes up a little bit and then stops and out. It is not a problem with the system. It's more about, just taking into account what is going on in the environment at the moment. And in terms of today, just purely based off of price action does not seem like this is an A+ day, although there is still one very promising setup that you can take, and that is going to be relating to the ABC session profile. Before we get into that though, let's take a look at news. So today we have 8:30 a.m. news. This is called PPI and PPI, which means that today is still generally on news days, the price action tends to be a bit more clean, yesterday being the exception. And most importantly, when you have news, it means that the day is going to have some kind of volatility. Now, the thing that makes trading so tough for so many people is usually you are dealing with a lot of variables at the same time. A being, the direction of price. Is it going to go up or is it going to go down? Second is how far up, how far down. And then you have to deal with timing as well. Like, when is it going to happen? Or like, how long can I expect the move to last, for example? And news days are great in the sense that they pretty much tell you that, hey, at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, July 16th, something's going to happen, right? The price is going to move. And your job then is to identify what type of move it is going to be. And that is where we get into the session profiles. And the session profiles, there are usually two ways that the market tends to play out. One is a AMD, which is kind of what happened yesterday, actually, because we had Asia accumulation, London with the manipulation, and then eventually it retraced. Now, if you guys remember, one of the setups that I called yesterday was that price would sweep out this high right here before falling. The only problem came because I added a condition saying that if you get a 1 hourly candle close above this line right here, you would actually want to be looking for longs, right? And upon reflection, I probably should have, been more clear-cut about this manipulation move. And then now we get into the session profiles. And then there are usually two ways that price tends to play out when it comes to session profiles. And this has been true for the past 99 videos that we've been making. It either plays out in one of two ways, right? First, you have your accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution. Clearly, this day does not look like it is going to go down. So then that brings us on to the second one, which is an accumulation, breakout, and then continuation. We saw this very clearly yesterday in the sense of accumulation here. London breaks below, and then for the most part, most of the trading volume is below the Asia low. And then right before the New York session, you actually retraced, take out this high, which is a condition that I mentioned yesterday. Like, hey guys, don't be surprised if you sweep this high and then price goes down. The only problem that led to the loss yesterday is that I did mention that if you get a 1 hourly close above this line right here, then you would ideally be looking for longs. So we did end up getting the sweep, but we also got the kind of candle close, which just ended up being a little bit contradictory. But overall, yesterday was still a breakout, retracement, continuation type of trade. And today seems like it's going to be another one of those. So the game plan for today is going to be pretty straightforward. At the moment, with this candle right here, you have a fair value gap, you have an order block right here, and you also have another potential bigger order block down here. Now, retracement into either one of these levels in between the hours of 6 a.m. to, let's say, 8 or 8:30 a.m. is going to give you a setup to go long continuation. Now, one thing that I must, again, caution you about is that the daily bias is bearish at the moment. We have a daily fair value gap here that has yet to be filled, but we got really close. So just be aware that this could just straight up reverse. And I will give you the invalidation scenario for what to look for in case things start going down instead. But at least for now, based on the 1 hourly chart, as well based on the session profiles, it is at the moment safe to say that you're going to be looking for a retracement before continuation. Now just keep in mind that things could also happen around the 9:30 a.m. mark, because yesterday, even though the news was at 8:30 a.m., the real move, like the big aggressive move, actually happened between the hours of, if you take a look here, 9:30 a.m. till 10 a.m., where price just reversed basically. And today could also be one of those days, but if I had to put my money somewhere, I would say between the hours of 7 a.m., 8:30 a.m., you're going to get that retracement. And if you start seeing the market give you a 5-minute change in state of delivery, then that's going to be what you need in order to get into a long trade for today. Now, speaking about the exact confirmations that you should be looking for, just understand that at the moment, you can say that this leg up here is known as bullish order flow, but you can also say that this leg up here, down here, is bearish order flow. And the difference between the both is, you want to see bearish order blocks getting retested and being respected in general. Once price came into this bearish order block right here, it started going down. It did not break this bearish order block. And so you can say that this entire swing here is in a state of bearish order flow. So chances are, if you start going into, especially if you go down into this area right here, you are going to be in bearish order flow. And so what you want to look for is for order flow to start changing into bullish. And then at this point here, to probably get in, wait for a retracement maybe, then get in, stop loss underneath this low, and that's going to be the setup for today. Now, in case where you get an invalidation, whereby, at the moment, again, the daily chart is pointing towards the downside, and the daily chart is a higher time frame compared to the 1 hourly chart, so it may go down. In the event that that happens, the area that you want to look for a short to happen is right here at this bearish order block, which, by the way, if you do take a long here, just secure some profit once you hit this bearish order block right here, because there is a potential that price could go for a little retracement before tomorrow you continue on. Now, if you're a swing trader, this is not going to matter, because none of the ideas that I mentioned in this video are for swing trading. Heck, they're not even for short-term trading. So this is purely from an intraday perspective, and we're taking it day by day. Secure some of your profit over here, and then tomorrow we can potentially look for more continuation. Now, don't get me wrong, price could also just straight up, continue on to form a new all-time high or something. It is possible, but just in case, you can always secure some profit and leave a runner for in case if it goes further. Now, the invalidation scenario today is we want to look for potentially a short here. I wouldn't do it today though. But the second one is if you start breaking below, especially this level right here, I don't think this is going to happen, which is why I said earlier that if I had to put my money somewhere, I do think it's going to be ABC, right? Continuation to the upside. And the reason for this is because at the moment, price is at $119,000 at the moment. And in order to get a 1 hourly close beneath, 117,300, that is about $2,000 that Bitcoin needs to move within the next 3 hours or so. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but just not as likely. In the event though, that you do get a break below this level here, and if you get a 1 hourly candle close below here, this would be a confirmed CISD. Now, another one of the mistakes that I made yesterday is that like this level right here is kind of CISD, right? If you break above here, it's kind of CISD, but it wouldn't be fully confirmed. Like this level here would be the undeniable CISD, to where at which point you can confidently say that order flow has shifted bullish. So I'm not going to make the same mistake today and say that, oh, just because if you close below this bullish order block right here, this is already CISD, right? If you get this one right here, then 100% you're going to go down. I don't want to say 100% because trading is still a probabilities game. Nothing is ever 100%. It is only likely. But I can definitely say that if you get a close below here, this is changes the delivery and price is likely to be, bearish at that point, and you will target this fair value gap. Is that likely to happen today? Probably not. In fact, likely not. Hopefully this gives you a very clear game plan heading into today. And if you would like to go from where you are right now to trade ready within the next 30 days, basically learn the system that has achieved an 80% win rate over the last 5 months for yourself, and you just got to follow the rules. And we help you install it, plug and play. Feel free to click the first link in the description box below to check out Bootcamp, which is our flagship one-on-one program. Yes, you will be working with me. But otherwise, to the rest of you, cheers for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.